Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. This is episode number 3. This week's quote, I steal from every movie ever made. From the one and only Quentin Tarantino.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Indie Film Hustle Podcast. I am your host, Alex Ferrari. So today I wanted to talk about being prepared when and if the spotlight ever hits you. I'm going to tell you a little story about what happened to me. I did a movie many years ago called Broken. It was a short film that we did for about $8,000. We shot it on mini DV. That's how far back it goes. With no stars. We shot it in Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida, actually. And I did all the post on it. I did pretty much everything on it. Directed, wrote it, did all the color, all the post, all the editing, production design, did pretty much everything. Had an amazing crew, had an amazing producer working with me as well, and co-writer of the script, George Rodriguez, who did a fantastic job as well. And we couldn't have made the movie without everybody involved. Had a great cast, and everybody was awesome. So we go on, and I go on to make this movie, and we release it, and we get into over 250 film festivals around the world. We win countless awards. We are covered by over 300-400 different news outlets. Every movie website you can imagine covered us. I even got a review by Roger Ebert, which is a story for another time, how I got that. And I promise you, I will tell you that story in an upcoming episode. We did all this stuff, and then I had the idea of like, well, you know what? Let's see how we can make some money with this. How can we actually monetize this thing? And this is before YouTube really had taken off. There was no online streaming really. There was no online deliverables. VOD was still very early in its stages. And again, don't forget, this is a short film with no stars in it. These are all unknown local actors in Florida. It was an action movie. It was an action thriller. We boasted over 100 visual effects in it, and we had a great visual effects team that helped us do that as well. All young kids. We were all young, just starting out really doing this. So afterwards, I decided I wanted to put together some way of how to sell this. So what I decided to do is, during the process of making Broken, I looked everywhere and could not find, believe it or not, anything about how to make a low budget movie online or on DVD or anything like that. This is 2004 when this happened. So the DVDs were all big budget, Titanic and Matrix and all that kind of stuff. But that really did help me out a lot because I didn't have that budget. We had $8,000, shooting on mini DV, and there was nobody really talking about it at the time. So what I decided to do is put together a kind of guerrilla film school on my DVD. When it was all said and done, it took me about 6 to 8 weeks of editing and shooting and putting it all together, working pretty much 10 to 12 hours a day at my company, Numb Robot. Just basically locked everybody else out and just did this for a long, long time. And packaged it in. We had about 3.5 hours of about 3.5 hours of extra footage. We had 5 commentary tracks from everything, really educational stuff. We took you through pre-production, production, post-production, and even marketing of the film, which I'll get to in a minute. So I put this all on a DVD, packaged it very nicely, and started selling it. We put out the word online. I did a lot of marketing online for the film. Arguably to say you couldn't go onto a film message board or website anywhere in the indie film world and not hear about this movie called Broken. So we released it, and we ended up selling over 5,000 copies of it, selling it at around about $20 a pop. Sometimes we sell it for $15. We did a bunch of different events as well, horror festivals, comic book festivals, things like that, Comic Cons, and all that kind of stuff. Anything to get the movie out, to promote. And then a funny thing happened is I started getting phone calls from Hollywood, from studios, I got a call from an Oscar-winning producer who wanted to meet with me about my projects, about Broken, about anything else I might have. I was flown out. I met with Sony, Paramount, Warner's, everybody, New Line, a bunch of different companies wanted to talk to me. So one thing that I learned and I didn't know at the time is when I was invited to these meetings, they're like, this little movie you made is great. We're really excited about it. What else do you have? And that was the big mistake. I had nothing. I had ideas. I had an idea for a feature, for the Broken feature. I had some other ideas for some other movies, but I had no script. And what happens in Hollywood is if you're blessed with the spotlight hitting you, even for a moment, you better be prepared to take advantage of it. And I wasn't. I was not prepared at all. I went into all these meetings pretty much like a deer in headlights. I had no experience. I had no one telling me what to do. Again, the information was not out there as much as it is today. But even then, what I'm talking about, I don't really read a whole heck of a lot about. So what happened was I went back to Florida and started writing a script with my partner. We start putting the script together. We're flown up to the Toronto Film Festival to meet with some distributors. We're flown to Sundance and we're hanging out, doing parties and doing, meeting actors and all this kind of stuff. And again, everyone's like, hey, so where's the script? Where's the script? Oh yeah, we're working on it. And then when we finally got it done a year later, the heat was off. The spotlight had dimmed, or if not, it's completely out. Nobody was really taking our calls anymore. They had moved on to the next hot thing or the next filmmaker, the next movie that they were going to try to do something with. So I was left heartbroken, pretty much. All I had made all these contacts, but again, the doors just kept closing afterwards because the script. They're like, oh yeah, we'll take a look at the script, and then we wrote this script that was, I'll be honest with you, it was kind of god awful. It was like a $150 million budget script kind of thing. I mean, we went crazy with it. Again, we didn't know. We had no idea how the game was played. It was a lesson in the school of hard knocks, if you will. What I wanted to give you, the reason I'm telling you guys this story is I wanted to give you some tips on if you are blessed, once you make your movie, either a feature or a short, or a web series or whatever gets attention for you, and you do go into these meetings and you do get called by Hollywood, by producers, by directors, by entertainment attorneys, by anybody who really wants to see what they can do with you or help you or move you forward in one way, shape, or form. These are some tips that I've picked up along the way. And I've also seen this through working with so many really amazing and talented filmmakers who've gone down similar paths that I went down, but they went down a little farther than I did. They had scripts ready, and how that process worked. And as this show and as Indie Film Hustle keeps growing in the future, I'm going to keep bringing these stories in. I'm doing my best to bring in my friends, people who I've worked with in the industry, who have gone through the gambit, gone through the machine, how they're building their careers, how they're getting to the next level in their careers as directors, as writers, as editors, as cinematographers, as whatever avenue of the industry they have done. So here's some tips. First and foremost, have multiple scripts prepared if you're going to do something like, make your first movie. I know it's tough because it's tough enough to make one good script, but at least either have access to scripts, either option scripts, which is a whole other conversation, but have option scripts, access to scripts, or write your own scripts. At least one or two different scripts that are in the exact same genre as the film that you've made. So in other words, if you make a slapstick comedy, don't drop a horror script on the desk. It's not going to fly. They're looking at you, and this is one thing. Hollywood loves to put people in boxes. And once they have you in a box, that's your box. Later on, you can break out of that box. But until then, you're going to be in this box until you prove otherwise. So if you made a good horror movie, they're going to go look for you to make another horror movie because that's what they've seen. If they haven't seen you make a comedy or a drama, they don't want to hear it. It's too much risk. It's risky enough to even be bringing in an independent filmmaker without a track record to make a feature film, let alone start mixing genres and mixing things like that. So make sure you have multiple scripts, not ideas, full fleshed out scripts that are ready to go. Literally, let's go do some breakdowns on them, and here's a budget, and go make them. Okay, at least give them something, and it might be the third or fifth draft, and you're going to rewrite it. I promise you, if you get a movie produced, you're going to write it at least 40 or 50 times. It's just the way the game is played in out here in Hollywood. But it's just the way it is. So make sure you have multiple scripts of the same genre that you're going. So if you made an action, have some multiple action scripts done. If you made a thriller, horror, have that. If you made comedy, have a couple comedy scripts ready. So that would be first step. Second, make sure you look at the long-term plan. When you're designing your career, when you're designing your way into the business, or in your way of making a living, look at the long-term game. Don't look at it as the short game. The overnight successes, the lottery tickets, as I like, the lottery ticket winners like the Robert Rodriguez's and the Kevin Smiths of the world, Paranormal Activity, or any of those guys. Those guys are lottery tickets. It happens once every, in a generation. I can count on both my hands over the last 30 years how many times that's happened. But everyone thinks that can happen to them. It's unrealistic to think that you're going to be that lottery ticket, that someone's going to come in and go, you come with me. I'm going to let you direct this next one. It happens, but it's rare. So for the rest of us, think of a long-term plan of how you're going to get things. So if you're going to make a short film, okay, where is this short film going to lead to? Are you just making it just to make it? Are you making it to kind of play or kind of hone your skills? Great, that's fine. But if you're going to make something and put it really out there, and God willing, some action happens off of it, some sort of press, some sort of interest in you as a filmmaker happens, you better be ready. So have some sort of long-term plan, have some scripts ready, have some other shorts ready, have a web series ready, have a TV show ready, a bunch of different things. Just think about what this will lead to, and then if I do this, just think about different options of what will happen to you if I make a short film and I get a call from a producer, I'll have a couple scripts ready, boom, 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 boom. I hope this story helped you guys out a little bit. It was a long, painful journey for me as a filmmaker. I learned a ton and still learning a ton. But funny thing is that, and I'll go into this again also in other episodes, but that little movie Broken has paid me off in so many ways, not only financially, that it was an actual, financial success and actually made money on the short and continue to make money off the short, that I got picked up by a distributor to be packaged in with a bunch of my other movies that I've made, and it's going to be released September 6, 2015, and it's called Lipstick and Bullets, and it has a combination of 4 movies I did: Broken, Sin, Red Princess Blues, and Red Princess Blues Genesis, an animated prequel to Red Princess Blues. And that has about 5.5 hours of behind the scenes stuff. It's currently available in Blu-ray from England. And I think you'll be able to play that it's region 0, so you can play that anywhere in the world. And then now it's being re-released again for America and the rest of the world, September 6th. So that's pretty amazing in my eyes, that a short film or a group of short films 10 years later are getting released in a national way, Walmarts, the Amazons, the Netflix, and so on. It's because content was done really well. So when you're making stuff, creating stuff, create the best stuff you can. Create the highest quality content you can. When I made Broken, I wanted to help as many filmmakers as I could, because I couldn't find what I was looking for. And that same energy and same love for our business is why I created Indie Film Hustle. I wanted to create a space, a place where people can come and learn things that I don't see being talked about out there very often. Real inside stuff from the industry, and help you guys get your movies made, and hopefully strive and survive the film business, make a living doing what you love. So that's why I'm doing Indie Film Hustle as a general statement. So I'm going to be bringing up Broken in other podcasts and my other films because of the experiences and things that I went through with them. This is just one aspect of Broken. Broken has a ton of different avenues that I went down with it, between the marketing of it, how I got Roger Ebert, the legendary Roger Ebert, rest in peace, have him actually give me a positive review of my Nobody short film that was not in the festival that he was at the time, kind of thing. My Sundance adventures, which there are multiple, what I did at Sundance and so on. I'll be going through all of that in future episodes and stuff like that. So, guys, I hope this helped you guys out a lot. I hope I didn't ramble too much. And keep an eye out for the new episodes. We're going to try to do them every couple weeks. And again, if you want to learn how I got into over 500 film festivals, international film festivals, and most of them I got into for either free or cheap, head over to filmfestivaltips.com. That's filmfestivaltips.com. Just sign up for our awesome newsletter that get inside tips and stuff, and I'll send it right over to you. You get to download it, share it with friends if you need to. It's really, I think it's really good, and it's verbatim what I did to do to get into film festivals. And I even give you guys some email templates as well, how to email the film festival directors and things like that. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.